ladies and gentlemen. And today we're going to talk about buying land in Uganda. The do's and the don'ts is what we are going to actually discuss. So please, if you're joining us today, from wherever you're joining us, be reminded that that's the topic we are going to talk about. I'm joined by William Luima. He's a good friend of mine. We've been together for quite some time, and he's going to be sharing with us some of the tips. We've had these discussions on this same channel before, but today we want, because every other year things come up and a lot of things change. So we wanted to keep you guys updated when it comes to buying land in Uganda. Welcome to my channel, William, and I'm glad we're also using the new feature.
Thank you so much, Miss Duke.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be on your channel. We've worked together in the past, and it's always a pleasure to be on your channel.
Yes. So let's start from there. How is the land business in Uganda, first of all?
I think the land business is that particular kind that has never gone down. It has its moments where business is sort of slow because of, say, recession, if there's a recession. But in general, it's a business that has those breaks, but they are not really very lengthy breaks. But it's very good business. It's still ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get to understand what are the do's of buying land in Uganda. Whether for let's start from a Ugandan and then eventually we'll go to a foreigner.
Yeah. Now the do's of buying land in Uganda. Number one, you need first of all you need to know exactly what you need this land for. So if you're not sure what you need the land for, you're most likely going to spend so much time trying to get the exact piece of land, and you'll waste a lot of money. You'll waste a lot of people's time, especially brokers, the ones that some people call realtors. They'll frustrate you. So you really have to have a very candid conversation with them to let them know of what you're looking for. You need to let them know that you're not going to entertain any wastage of time, because some of them have a habit of taking you in circles, because whenever they are moving with you, the expectation is that you're going to foot the bill and you're going to give them some money at the end of the day. So clarity is one of the things that you need to put in mind. What do you need this land for? Secondly, if you're at a certain location, rather you need to have, you'll be advised from that point the options that are available. But then it's also imperative for you to make your own research. Ask friends. For instance, if you're interested in agriculture, do your own research. Don't leave this out to a random broker that you've never met. So do your own research such that when you meet up with this broker, then you have an idea of what you're looking for, so that it doesn't take you far away from the facilities that you need for whichever project that you want to establish on that piece of land. So thirdly, then you need to, when you get to wherever this piece of land is, you need to have a candid conversation with the landowner or with whoever is in charge of this land, so that you understand whether it actually belongs to them. You need to look around those things to see access. How was it when you get in there? Is there water in that location? Security wise, is it too? I mean, are you surrounded by forests, and whoever that you intend, rather your next neighbor probably is miles away. You might worry of the security situation. So if you're privy to such information, you're able to make a very good decision, because perhaps you want to have this land, you want to have any developments done probably in the near future. You plan accordingly, because if it's too far away and you're not very sure about the security, even the person that you might want to put there to keep this piece of land for you might actually be scared to stay in that sort of locality. So there are certain questions that you need to have so that you're comfortable. However, it depends, because there are certain pieces of land that are far off and probably want to put trees there in the meantime. You really don't need anyone to be around, apart from somebody to once in a while to come and see if the trees are not being vandalized or strange encroachers on your piece of land. So security is also, Yeah, so I think, but the most important thing really is to do a land search.
at the
Uh,
Ministry of
yes, the Ministry of Land. So the land, the landlord needs to give you a copy of the
Mm,
title so that you go and conduct a search. Obviously, you have to pay for that search so that you establish the right demarcations of the plot of land that this person claims is theirs. If you don't do that, then clearly you wouldn't have done anything, because that is the number one due diligence that any individual needs to do if you're buying anything. Yeah.
okay. In recent times, I've received people who wanted to buy land in Uganda, and
Mm.
these people have been foreigners, and they've always told me, "Hey man, land in Uganda is very expensive compared to different places in Africa where they've bought land." What do you think is bringing the spark in terms of prices of land in Uganda?
I think in general, Uganda is unique because of its climate. We know it can rain today and still to shine in the evening,
Mm,
and we really don't have extreme weather occurrences whereby you probably have, because for instance in Kenya they have those moments when it's winter-ish, where it's really cold, where it
mm,
could be really dry. But in Uganda, I think that's why it's called the Pearl of Africa. Now that makes it unique in the sense that everyone wants to have a piece of Uganda, if I could put it that
mm,
way. So, however, there are times, there are those moments when it's really extremely expensive unnecessarily. So I think some people just try to probably, if somebody is not selling, the best thing
mm.
that they could do probably is to claim that it's this much, yet probably it's just overrated. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but thinking, because of, you see, in Uganda, you could actually throw something anywhere and it would come up. Say if you threw seed of anything, it would still
Mm,
come up.
okay.
You don't do so much about it. Yeah, but
I, I, I
we
also
encourage. Hmm,
I also think because of the good security environment, our security is still good.
yeah.
We don't experience wars and so forth and so on. I think it attracts a lot of people to come and invest. But also the idea that Ugandans or land is owned by Ugandans and not owned by government. I think that makes it even worse, or better for some people to put it in that context. Anyways, so let's talk about a foreigner intending to buy land in Uganda. What could Are they even allowed to buy land in Uganda?
No, foreigners don't buy land in Uganda. However, the law allows them to lease. They can lease land for up to 49 years. Then they are also free to renew the lease from that point in time. However, some foreigners have a way of dealing with the locals or the nationals, whereby they come into a partnership. So the land becomes property to an investment or to a company that they have established here with a local or with an indigenous Ugandan. So
Mm,
in that sense, it means it's more or less owned by a foreigner and this other person. They are core investors, if I could put it that way. And in my honest opinion, I'm thinking that would be probably one of the easiest ways of how one could own land in Uganda. If you have a business that you've set up with somebody, it's easier that way. As opposed to waiting for the whole 49 years. Obviously, it will remain land that is owned by an entity that is a business that you registered. So, but at least it gives you the comfort that, well, even if you have other partners, say if they are siblings or if they are kids, if they are your kids, they could still be partners of that business. More or less, it means now you own a piece of land in Uganda.
so, in
Yeah.
simple term, you're saying it is possible only when somebody enters into partnership with someone.
Yes. Yeah.
But also, people need to be careful when they're entering into these partnerships, because sometimes they could get caught up by the law. These foreigners need to certify some things, get probably licenses, among
Mhm.
many others.
Absolutely. They need to they have to register as a business here in Uganda, as a
Mm,
legal entity in Uganda, so that any of such transactions can go ahead. Obviously, it means that the requirements of being an investor is what they're supposed to follow so that they can actually be able to conduct any sort of business in Uganda. Without that, it means they are not eligible to getting into any sort of transaction, which may include land, with their co-investors who are Ugandans.
So let's talk about ways of how people con people when it comes to land. What are those sort of tricks that people use to trick others and steal from them?
Now, the whole situation of trickery and forgery, sometimes it's a thing of, for instance, there are people that sell land, say, I would say, if you don't do your due diligence really well, you might
Mhm.
actually buy land that has already been, that has been sold to somebody else. So that's the reason why when you have intentions of buying a piece of land, you need to hold very candid conversations with the locals in that place. You need to
Mm, okay. There are also situations where I usually see people
offering.
where,
Are you okay at your side?
yeah, yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm okay. I think it's your network that is a bit.
Fine, the network was unstable.
I'm now fine, I'm now okay.
Okay, yeah. So, like I was saying, it's important for anyone that intends to buy land to have a conversation with the locals. They really know if that piece of land has had any kinds of encumbrances. So they'll let you know that that land has been sold before or it still has issues pending in the courts of law. That's why you need to have these conversations with these people because they'll let you know exactly what's going on. The other things that we've had, there are tendencies of finding an original title, even when, I mean, the situation whereby two individuals might have this, they can have original titles. So really, that is sort of mysterious. Ideally, it shouldn't happen. That means
Mm.
that there's a anomaly at the lands office, whereby probably the government has to fix that. It has to pay for the damages that have been caused, and nobody should lose money. I mean, how can you have two original copies of the land title? So, but those are very those are uncommon scenarios.
Okay. Let's also now, there are also incidents where people, I usually tell people that when you're buying land, ensure that, are you getting me? Are you getting me? I see, I
I
think
think
my net,
think you're buffering. I don't know whether
yeah,
it is.
I think my network is playing around. Okay, let me find ways of handling that. Are you able to hear me now?
I can hear you, but your picture is not moving.
Okay, I don't know why. But anyway, let me speak what I wanted to say. Sometimes you find a person buying land in Gayaza, but
Mm.
still they pay from town instead of buying that land from Gayaza. I mean, if you're buying land in Gayaza, then you need to be in Gayaza to actually make the transactions in Gayaza. You cannot make transactions elsewhere where the land is not actually located. Sometimes also people, instead of sometimes they are shown this land by brokers and not the real owners of the land. Where a problem comes in, if somebody is selling land, let them be the ones to take you to the land. You get that way you can establish whether he or she is actually the real truth, the real owner. Because somebody, if I sent you and I'm the one selling, I could send you to a wrong place. You get, like, bien tunda nino banga bw'oba otunda nnyaanya ate tonsindika eri olina obeerawo gwe kennyini. I think that's the simple, because if you're truly the owner of the land, what are the reasons stopping you from taking me to the land? You get. Sorry, we've lost our guest who was William, but I'll work in. I'll be work. Oh, he's back.
I'm back. Yes.
Sorry, William. We
And,
lost you for a second.
yeah.
So, if you're buying land, ensure that the person selling you the land actually takes you to the land where you're going to buy, instead of you buying land that has been shown to you by brokers. Because if somebody, because this is how the trick happens, if they know that the land is not theirs, they fear to go onto the piece of land because people might say, but this is not the owner of the land. You get, I think those are some
Mm.
of the tricks that these people use. So, William, if somebody is looking at investing in Uganda, what places would you recommend for them that are profitable? Like, if I went into this, I'll get money out of it.
I think there are several areas that I think very very lucrative investment opportunities. But in my honest opinion, I think one of the things we shouldn't overlook is value addition in the agriculture sector. So because we know Uganda's economy is basically uh, standing on agriculture as the source of raw materials and exports, say coffee, cotton, what else? A couple of things that we do export out of the country.
Mm,
So I think there are so many things that can be done in the country because well, Uganda already it's 47 million Ugandans, it's 47 million Ugandans, meaning
mm,
that already you have market for whatever it is that you produce, and then obviously the government is also very welcoming to whoever wants to add value to whatever it is that you've either produced in terms of if it's agriculture, even if it's horticulture. Of course, horticulture that would mean flowers. I understand we even export flowers out of the country. So if it's value addition, I think that is one of the areas that people should give a lot of attention. We need to, right now, the strategy in Uganda is to see that we increase on our exports and reduce on imports. So the inputs really mess us up. So we need to, the intention right now, the drive is to see that there are more exports, and exports will obviously happen with value addition. So whoever probably is into, even if it was a farm, say if you had say if you're into uh, beef and you start packaging beef for export, that is really a very big opportunity. If it was banana and probably it's processing bananas into a powder state, or if it is milk, putting it into a powder state, all those are opportunities that are still very available. I understand there are people that are trying to turn eggs into powder. The yolk, I think it's only the yolk that they deal with. So the opportunities are immense. So I believe that value addition really is number one. Number two, obviously, it would be real estate. Real estate, you'll never go wrong with real estate. So it, because we still have a lot to do in terms of housing. Affordable
mm,
housing is still a very we still it's still a serious situation in our country. That's the area that probably you want to get into. You obviously not go wrong. So I think those are, and I think also fishing. People that are into fishing, because it could be you could either dig up fish ponds, or you could actually do it in the lakes themselves. I
mm,
don't know whether I've seen people doing fishing in cages in the lakes. I've seen that happening, and really the value of fish has never gone down.
true.
So those are three investments that I think people should really look into. Tourism is obviously one of those things that is um, you won't go wrong if you really got into tourism in Uganda, and it's not
Mm.
difficult. That you don't need everything.
Let's talk about in sense of take for example, I want to do real estate, and I want to buy land somewhere. Which place can I buy that I know for real it is going to work for me if I want to set up a real estate business?
Um, with real estate, I think there are so many places, but I think one of the issues that one has to put in mind is that you need to be open-minded to know that the city will always get to those places that seem remote. So as long as a location has the necessary amenities like electricity, the road network is okay, really you don't have to be worried about the distance of that particular location, because For starters, maybe you could use it for farming in the meantime before you get into the construction of homesteads or
Mm.
gated communities. So the whole thing is getting to know that the city will actually, all development will eventually get to wherever you are. So I'm thinking, if you notice that the road network is good, and if you find that probably in future the roads will get there, the government is planning on putting thorough, perfect roads in that location, just know that that place will be okay. It could even be in 5 years' time, or even 10 years is also not so long. I see, we've seen years just rolling on just like that. So it could even be in 10 years, but as long as you know that, as long as you do your research, if you hold these conversations and you get to know that the road network will be there, electricity will be in that location, it's
Mm.
just a good place to go for, regardless of where it is in Uganda.
So recently, there's been sparks of people saying that, including myself, that there is no money in rental business. How true is this, or how wrong is this? You didn't get the question. I'm saying that lately people are saying that
Um,
there is no money in rentals, like building your rentals somewhere. How true or how wrong is this statement? Liam, are you able to get me? Sorry,
the question,
I was asking.
I think I missed you.
Okay, I was saying that recently people have been saying that there is no money in rental business. People say that there is no money in rental business. Are you able to get me, Liam?
Come again? Sorry, I
People say
didn't get the
there is
question.
no money in rental business. How true is that?
I think it depends. It depends. There's money in rental business, but the thing is that there are other costs that come with rental business that you might not see.
Mm,
Obviously, the repair, you, if it is security, you need to handle that. If it's the plumbing works, if something happens to them, all that is on you. There are certain costs that come with it. So meaning the money is actually there, but then there is small costs that add up that eventually make it as though like money will probably take forever to come
mm,
through. So, and then there are also there are situations whereby you don't have tenants in some of the units, so they are really idle. So I think it all depends on what sort of real estate you've created, or the houses that you've created for tenants.
mm,
There are certain, now I'll give an example. There are places where um, guest houses would be the best, would be the ideal things to go for, because you know probably whoever spends a night spends about 50K, 50,000, and even during the day, the same units are in use by whoever probably is around for a conference or whatever it is. So, um, especially in upcountry areas, people that are along the highways, many of them are more or less into, would call them maybe motels, some people call them lodges. Or,
mm,
yeah. So those really bring in a lot more money in certain locations as compared to people that would rent out an entire house to somebody who's going to pay probably 250,000 a month. Yet probably they are making 30K per day. So I think it all depends. It all depends on what you're building. Yeah.
okay. Let's talk about transferring the land. What are the procedures of transferring the land title into my name from somebody else's names?
Yeah. Obviously, you need to first of all have um, you need to have the original document that shows that land was sold to you. Now, it is you that it's you that has to foot the bill of the transfer. You as the Now it depends on the conversation that you've had between the buyer and the seller.
Mm,
Now, the seller might choose to help you with the transfer because there are transfer fees. So depending on how you've come up with your whole conversation, he may choose to In other words, with the money that you've bought the land with, it could accept to pay for the fees regarding the transfer situation. But if you don't have that conversation early enough, you will find that after buying this piece of land, then you'll hear that now you need to transfer. It has to be transferred into your names. Now you need to get more money out of your pocket, probably 2 million Ugandan shillings to effect the transfer. You might really get frustrated. So you need to know that beforehand.
Okay. So what are the steps basically? So, because you've talked about the financial implications that is involved. So, after getting the documents, what do I do next?
Usually need to have a legal person who supports you on that end, because you might not know, first of all, the right office to go to, or even if you knew the right office, perhaps it could take you longer. There might be a waiting period and all that. So a legal person would be the best person to guide, because there are different places where there are different offices that you need to go to depending on where you've bought the piece of land from, because even the local officials need to know that this transaction happened. So you're offered proper guidance by these individuals, so that um, you get whatever statement you've picked from the seller. Then whoever is helping you push for the transfer should be a competent person in that area. So um, I don't think much has changed in that area, but those people will probably give more guidance on how to complete the transfer process.
Okay. The government recently introduced a new law. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there is a new law that was recently introduced. I don't know if you are aware of it. It's a tax, I think, that people dealing in land are actually supposed to part with. I don't know if you are aware of it.
I've heard about it. I haven't given it a lot of time, but I need to dig through. But I know that there's a tax, there's a fee that one has to pay if you're a client that has bought a piece of land. I don't know what percentage that is. I need to do some research, but I know there's a fee that you need to pay to the government. I think I don't know whether it's called a tax, but there's a fee that you really have to pay in that
Okay.
regard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's now look at some of those juicy places that somebody can invest in. Like, let's mention juicy places in Uganda.
For farming, I know Lowero has some very interesting places. It sounds like it's really far off, but it's really not very far depending on what you want to do. So obviously there are certain places whereby it could even be 20 kilometers off the main road. Now you're getting through onto a Maram road, probably 20 or 30 kilometers inside. That sounds like a lot, but depending on what you want to achieve, it's farming, and you've probably acquired um, a huge piece of land at an affordable price. You will not really mind about the distance. Besides, probably you're not going there all the time if it's for farming purposes. So there are places in Lowero that are really good for that. There are places, if it's forestry, there are places in Masindi that are good for forestry, all on, is that, yeah, Mubende. There are places that are really good for forestry. And then I understand there are Chinese that are currently carrying out farming. Rather, they've set up forestry plants in it should be Mobende. I'm trying to remember to recall. So you would not go wrong. Yeah, it's Mobende, and that is basically Fort Portal route is really okay. It's in the areas of Kasanda. Uh, it's still affordable, and if you're into forestry, obviously people that are in forestry, they don't need to utilize their land for, say, real estate in the very near future. They're probably looking for, say, 8 years. When the trees are out, then you actually then think about what else you're going to do.
Sorry, Liam. Mm.
Processing such in Mobende, you'd find your I think they're called factors of
Mm. Okay. There's also Chira, except that for mm, mm. Liam, you, you, Liam, you're buffering. We, Liam, we can't hear you. Liam, we can't. Liam, we cannot hear. We can't hear you. Can you maybe leave and then come back again? Liam, hello. Okay. For those of you who are watching us, please ask us any question. Liam has gone on hold for now a couple of, I think, 1 minute, but he was telling us about places where, places that are juicy in Uganda where you can actually buy land. He talked of places like, but again, it depends on what you want to do with the land. Take, for example, if you want residential, there's Gayaza, there's Chira, there's Namgongo, except for these two places, Namgongo, Chira, Ntinda and Chiwatule and all the other places is they're extremely expensive in recent times. Thank you, Liam, for coming back again. Please start from the point where you're mentioning Gayaza, because that's when you
oh,
went off and we could hardly hear you.
I went.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
okay,
went here.
sorry.
I think the
So
name, but fairly the
yeah, I was saying, is it still static? Is it still on and off?
no, now it's okay.
Oh,
I can monitor it
yeah.
from my other device.
Yes, I was mentioning that Gayaza is a very good place. The places in Gayaza, there are places that are still um, available. So if you speak to a very good realtor, they'll let you know. But the most important thing is to be very clear on what you need. Then you'll
Mm,
be advised on those particular locations because some of them are for farming, others will probably be good for trees at this point in time because either they are really, really far deep off and the roads are not yet there. So you get the you're advised according to what you're looking for. And you see, sometimes you find it very difficult to go in a place, buy a plot of land, and you're the only person in that location. You don't get you're not encouraged to start anything meaningful if you're the only person in that space. You either feel it's unsafe or you do not know whether you'll get laborers to stay there and take care of the plot of land. So sometimes people do this waiting thing. They buy plots of land and wait until a couple of neighbors have started up certain things. Then they all switch into the gear of getting their land productive.
okay.
Yeah.
For those of you who are joining us or who have joined us, we are talking about the do's and the don'ts of buying land in Uganda. Please ask us any question, and we shall be more than glad to answer them on this particular live. But of course, we shall also upload it. And for anybody that will come a little bit later, or in case you were there and you didn't get anything, please, you can always come back and rewatch these lives. So we've talked about, let's now talk about the prices because we've talked about UEC areas, but we've not talked about the factor of prices. I again don't want people to be cheated. Do you have an idea of prices of land in different areas in terms of acreage or 50 by 100?
I do not have clear price margins or categories because things keep changing. Remember, the conditions of last year are not the same conditions right now.
True.
So I might not really give a very perfect picture because also it depends on the location. So that is a very dicey question to
Mm.
delve into because there are so many determinants. So I really can't comment on
Maybe,
price.
maybe if we could talk about how expensive land is in different places. Take, for example, where I am in Amgongo, land here is extremely expensive. I've equally
Mhm.
seen the same happen in Chira. Okay, same
Yeah,
happen in Nigeria, in Tinda. I think in Tinda right now you can't buy land, or if I told you to buy land, you must be in billions and billions of shillings. The
that is,
same Chiwatule, the same with Bukoto, where Chisasi. I think those places have raised in terms of prices very, very much.
yeah, that is true. The
Mm,
closer you are to Kampala, the more expensive land gets. So there's no doubt about it. A small piece of land, maybe 50 by 100, could cost an arm and a leg, and yet
mm,
you've not even started any development on it.
mm,
So honestly, I can't comment on prices because it really varies. But the
mm,
best we could do, I think we could have a session next time with somebody who can really share what is currently the ongoing rates in
mm.
different locations. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Any last words as we wind up? Because I don't see any questions from people, and it's
Mm.
even getting late. I would love you to go so you can attend to your wife at all, if at all she's around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
People are sleeping.
So, yeah, yeah. My last remarks would probably be to encourage whoever that has land, rather whoever that needs to own land.
Mm,
I think the question would be when, but I mean, everybody is required to own land, to be
true.
honest.
Mm,
So we have people that are in the diaspora who really struggle. They really want to own land, but it's really really tricky. So probably speaking to those, the question would be rather the advice would be to look for a trusted uh, property company in Uganda that has stood the test of time, so that they can save their money with them until it gets to that amount that is required to purchase a required piece of land. So and then land is the only asset that appreciates. So one shouldn't take forever to decide on buying land. It's just a matter of time. So the earlier you really get your mind attuned to it, begin to save for it. I know people actually take loans to buy land because probably some people take loans to buy land so that probably they can resell. So it shouldn't be a question of whether I should buy or not. The
mm.
question is when will that be and how fast am I going to do that, and with whom am I going to carry out this whole investment decision. So I really really encourage people to take a piece of land while it's still available, because really land appreciates, and Uganda's population really grows so fast. I think we'll get to a point whereby land will really be probably unaffordable. It will only be for the rich. So I think let's not get tired of buying land. And when you get land, probably don't you shouldn't retire from just one piece of land. Not that you
Mm,
should be greedy, but at least make wise decisions and buy multiple plots of land. You could resell them. So
okay.
that those are my last remarks. Sure.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Liam Media, for joining me tonight on this wonderful topic. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been deliberating on the do's and the don'ts of buying land in Uganda. Please head over to Liam Media YouTube channel. I don't know why it didn't bring.
I can see uh, we are buffering once again.
Sorry, Liam, I think the network kind of blew up.
Yeah,
So I
that
was
was
just saying that I expected YouTube to show us your channel, but unfortunately it didn't. But head over to the search bar. I'll tag him in the comments, in the comment section and the description, so that you can head over to his channel and try to subscribe and find out what he does best. So Liam, let's catch up again probably tomorrow being a Sunday. We shall get another topic and we'll discuss to the nation as well. Have a good night.
absolutely. Good night.